The other thing I'll say is there are a lot of bots out there, and you've probably seen them too. I primarily get women who want to connect with me. Hi, handsome. I know that they don't know me, so that's ridiculous. I mean, we don't deal like that in business. Or hi, how are you today? I'm sorry, that's not a message to send on LinkedIn. So Zoom, they are reported, and I report the bots, and I also block them. And that for a while did a very good job of reducing down the bots. And then I started getting people who were doing cryptocurrencies, which is not an area of interest I have at all. And so I started seeing the word crypto in anything that they did. And I was like, no, I'm not connected. And then that went down for a while. And then I started getting hairdressers in Ghana. Well, folks, I can't help hairdressers in Ghana. And there must be a million of them because I've now met them all through LinkedIn. And I have to report them because they're not real people. And they can't be real people based upon their profiles because they have one connection. And I don't want to be number two. And then that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get into your LinkedIn profile. So, and like Contra, you and I are connected. You can see every connection I have because I gave you the privilege of connecting with me. Again, ring my doorbell. You're not coming into my connection house to see my connections that I work so hard to cultivate unless I know who you are. So hairdressers in Ghana, if you're listening, stop it. It's enough already. I don't know what the next industry or the next country is going to be, but it just keeps coming in and gushes. The only I can do, LinkedIn is a self-policing platform. You have to report them and you have to block them. It's not just enough to block them because some other poor schlepp's going to get them and they're going to have to block them too. Report them. Let LinkedIn take care of it. That's what they're there for.
Right. Anyway. So kind of back to the Connect to Collaborate platform, it sounds like most of I know you referenced doing one-on-one, coaching and mentoring and also in a group setting. Have you done or considered doing like a LinkedIn learning course and go that route? And I'm making the assumption that that's probably not that interesting because you're seem like face-to-face engaging and really, it seems like a harder way to go about it, but it's also, I guess a good feature of LinkedIn in the sense that, communicating broadly. What are your thoughts on that? Is that something you've done or consider doing?
I haven't been on LinkedIn Learning. That's the old Lynda. Remember lynda.com? They bought Lynda a few years ago and they made a LinkedIn product. I haven't done that. And the reason I haven't done that is I want to have more control over my own material. I don't want to own my material. It's mine. All right. I'm independent of LinkedIn. I don't work for LinkedIn. I'm not a spokesperson for LinkedIn, and I like being independent. But I do have 3 video courses that I've done.
Okay.
One for nonprofit professionals about how to use LinkedIn to attract more donors, better board members, more volunteers, pro bono experts, and corporate sponsors. Now, put us back to pre-COVID because it's a pre-COVID course, but nonprofits are hammered right now, and more nonprofits need to think like businesses, and LinkedIn will help them think like businesses to market their mission to what they're looking for. And the course goes with the book that I wrote. You see the book behind me, this book, the blue one, You, Us, Them, is a high-level book. The course is more tactical. It's more, this is what you do, and now that you read the book and you understand the overall overlay of what I'm trying to teach you, this is how you can do it. I did the same thing for baby boomers. I didn't write a book. I made an entire video course for baby boomers. People born between 1946 and 1964 who right now are probably unemployed or underemployed, and they need to figure out what they're going to do with the rest of their lives. That is a really big problem, and there's a lot of ageism and discrimination against people with gray hair or with long years of experience because a 24-year-old can be hired and effectively do about the same work that a 45-year-old can do and cost a lot less money, a lot less benefits. So I tried to teach boomers how to do their encore career thinking. What are they going to do next? And if it's leaving their field, how to put that into LinkedIn. I'm a boomer, so it's easy for me to talk to boomers. I also taught in a living laboratory for 9 years to a lot of baby boomers who had just recently lost their jobs. It was a nonprofit that brought them together around a table, and I came in and taught them one-on-one. So it was a good hybrid, but I took everything that I learned from the one-on-one face-to-face teaching, I put it into that e-course.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
the third course I have is a course that I co-wrote with my colleague, Mike Middleman, who's a career coach. And we are approaching college graduates, recent college graduates, especially college seniors class of 2020. And I guess it'll be the class of 2021 who really never went through their senior year because COVID got in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And the college career office is largely empty.
Mm-hmm.
And they're teaching it online, but it's not as good as one-to-one. And let's face it, most colleges don't teach it really the way Mike and I are in the field, in the rut, knowing what to do and how to teach these kids how to join the adult world. That's a
Yeah.
really big issue. And again, 30-year-olds are taking the same jobs 22-year-olds might be going after because 30-year-olds want benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And they're willing to work beneath their capability, and the employer is willing to employ them because they'll be less expensive to employ. So it's the 23-year-olds. So it's really a very weird situation economically and socially right now. But nonetheless, I have found that those three courses to nonprofits, to boomers, and to college grads speaks best to them in a method they like to learn. Better, it's video as opposed to a hard paper book. Lawyers love books, so that makes sense to have a book, okay? And then the USM, the book for nonprofits, is to orient their thinking so that when they do the video, they understand better what they need to do in the video because they just don't really have that background like business people do.
Mm-hmm. And what platform are those? Are those online courses administered through? Is that directly through your website, or is that through a different medium?
The first two, the nonprofit and the boomers, are sold on my website. I did them myself. It's a PowerPoint with voiceover,
Nice.
and it comes out. We just email it to you or stream it over to you.
Yeah.
The third one, the one that Mike and I worked on, we did it on Thinkific. It's a real course. It has modules, and it has all sorts of things that Thinkific can do better than I think I could do myself. But Mike and I needed to put our collective creativity together, and it came out that way. And I'm thrilled with it. We are marketing it in January to a lot of colleges and small universities because their offices, their career planning offices, just need the help. There's just not enough people to go around and spend as much time with the college grads, and they're facing significant challenges that they never faced before.
Yeah, no, I think that's, most of those didn't really plan for this kind of environment. I would say that just from my experience and some people that I talked to, and this is certainly not anything that's fair to say broadly, like it represents all colleges, but there is a noticeable gap in having that context of the real world experience in LinkedIn and getting some of the advice from career counselors in colleges. And again, that's not pointed at all colleges by any means. I'm just speaking for my experience. And I just got off the phone with a close friend 2 days ago, and he's looking to make a career pivot, and he just finished some postgraduate education and went to someone in the college there, and he told me what their recommendations were, and I was just like, wow, that's just so deflate. Like there's no life to that recommendation. There's no relevance. That recommendation was great 6 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of them haven't been in the real world for 20 something years. It really scares me.
Yeah.
And the other piece of that is the real world 2 years ago is different than the real world right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not experienced in what's going on out there. They're not talking to corporations who want to hire, unless there's a corporation that happened to give a computer lab to the school and now is looking for, you send me your best computer students. I understand why they do that, but that's not a fair competition. When Mike and I wrote this course, we had one student in particular that I knew of, and I really admired this kid. She's great. She's terrific. And she's a multi-preneur. She has multiple entrepreneurial businesses going at the same time. And she knows what she wants to do. And she showed me her LinkedIn profile. And she said, we wrote it together from my university. And I said, whoa, I'm not understanding what you do.
Yeah.
I'm just one guy reading this. So
Mm-hmm.
let's work on that. And Mike looked at her resume, and that's his area of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
And her resume was terrible from his perspective of being in the trenches all day, every day in the market. We rewrote both of them for her, and she was thrilled.
Yeah.
She said, "Oh, this is so much better." And then her father calls me up and he says, "I can't tell you what you did for my daughter. She has this amazing rush of self-confidence she didn't have before because you guys put her life on paper for her.
Yeah.
You gave her the roadmap." And she got her first job, and she's looking for a new job now. That because it's it's the natural progression of things. No one stays in a job more than 6 months anymore. I've seen that with people I know. I was on the 5-year plan. If you didn't stay 5 years, something's wrong with you, or more. And then some people are lifers, as I call them. They've been there forever, and they don't know anything but XYZ Corporation. Everybody makes their choice. If you're a lifer and you're listening to me and you're mad at me, I'm sorry. It's just that right now things are really, really, really different, and they will be really different when we get out of the pandemic because things are going to bust open. So the advice for students, for people who are looking to find a new job right now is, A, LinkedIn is not a job board. It is your ticket to find good people, to review your credentials and how you express yourself so that they can fall in like with you, so they'll want to interview you, and you make them fall in love with you in the interview. It's the ticket in. Okay? Yeah. Sound familiar? And the other thing about LinkedIn is it's going to change as the economy changes. So if you're not marketing your butt off right now, whether you're employed or you're underemployed or you're unemployed, when we come out of COVID, you're going to be sucking wind. You're going to wish you had been marketing your butt off. And I learned that the hard way in the last economic downturn. I sort of rode it out. I didn't really do a whole lot. And then when we came out of the downturn and started pumping like crazy, I was like running as fast as I could to catch up with the other people because they were smarter than me and they had been constantly marketing. So what am I doing? I'm talking on podcasts. I'm writing all sorts of things. I'm writing books. I've got my second edition of my book for the American Bar Association coming out in the spring. I am really going at it because in the spring, I believe, or maybe the summer, we'll come out of this.
Yeah.
I want people to say, I saw you on Hunter's podcast, or I read your article or I love your blog. I wait for it at 8 o'clock every morning because you tell me something that I don't know. Mm-hmm. That's what makes me go. And that's what makes other people go. It makes me very happy that they move on that. So you got to market all the time.
Yeah, no, I love that. There's a couple things that come to mind as you share that. One is, do you do your daily post? Is that strictly through LinkedIn, or do you also have like an email outreach style to that? What's your approach there? Just curious.
Okay, I write everything on WordPress.
Okay.
That is, in effect, my LinkedIn coaching website, but I use the blog capacity of WordPress so that at 8 a.m. I tell WordPress, and I write it like I have 2 weeks written in and sitting there waiting, and I've got like everything to January 5th at this point, ready to go. It just 8 o'clock comes, WordPress sends it out to LinkedIn, and it appears on my posts on my homepage. Awesome. And it also goes to Facebook, to my company Facebook page, and it goes to my Twitter page. So it goes automatically. I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
Then I often will take comments that come off of my post, my blog post, and I'll work those through the audience. And I add new audience members every day. And it for me, it's great. So so it can come to you by email if you want it. Just go to my blog, and if you don't mind, I'll mention the URL. It's connect2collaborate.com. Connect2collaborate.com, and you can find on the LinkedIn Nuggets blog posts, you can sign up and it'll come to you every day, 8 a.m. Set your watch, 8 a.m. every business day. That's cool. A lot of work.
Yeah, no, I was just sitting here adding up, the time, but at the same time, it's nice for you to be able to schedule that, especially this far in advance, to have something that's consistent, right? I mean, I think consistent goes a long way
The,
for
yeah, the worst thing
the
is about
community
sending
that you're
every
building.
morning saying, "What the hell am I going to say today? I better write it really fast." I don't like that. I don't like that pressure. So
Yeah.
Tuesdays are back to basics day. I write a blog post that's really back to basics. My most recent one, I think Tuesday, was verb tenses. Use the past tense verb in your LinkedIn profile for past experience. Use a present tense verb for all experience you're having right now. And use
Mm-hmm.
future tense to show where you're going in your future, or at least perceive you are. And
Mm-hmm.
people mix them up all the time. And that's about the worst thing you can possibly do, because it makes you look like you're not particularly articulate. So you really want to be really, really careful.
Right.
And then Fridays, I like to have blog post guest writers.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say this. I was going to say it at the end of the blog when we were off the air. I'm going to put you on the spot. I'd love if you wrote a blog post about what we spoke about just a few minutes ago before we went on the air, because it's a living story about how LinkedIn helped. Whenever I can find somebody who has a story about how LinkedIn helped, and I owe them a nice thing back because they're doing a nice thing for me, I trade that nice stuff, and I say, write me a blog post, and a lot of people will see it, and you'll meet new people, and maybe you'll find new podcast guests to have. So you never know.
Yeah,
So
no, I'll take you up on that invitation. I enjoy writing. I used to do, when you talk about doing the pressure of the morning thing. So in my VP of Ops role, a couple companies back, I got to the point where I had, I think, 16 or 17 direct reports, which is too many for one person in most situations. And there were a lot of things that we needed to communicate on, but between just different factors, the busyness of the day, and several things that kind of went into restricting the time that we could really collaborate together, I started sending out a daily email, and I did for months. And I think I never got a lot of feedback, but the feedback that I did get was, this has been helpful, and things just kind of reinforce. It wasn't anything like I was trying to teach a lesson every day, as much as it was just taking the chance to call out important things, emphasize priorities of the team, of the company, things like safety and other things that went in the production environment, call out, wins and things like that. But it was also just kind of a constant drip of, hey, like, here's what we're going through. Here's the journey we're on. So it's more, some strategic, some tactical. But I think probably the best feedback I got was when I stopped, and I had a couple people come to me and was like, "Why'd you stop?" I was like, "Well, I didn't think anybody cared." And
exactly.
I got busy with this over here. So anyway, I say all that to say I accept the invitation and look forward to writing it. And part of the reason I even asked that question is because as I build out my personal brand alongside the podcast, at least a weekly email is definitely something that's on my radar for Q1 2021. I'm in the background building out website right now and doing some other stuff. So I'm excited about the momentum that I'm carrying into 2021 around this podcast, but also outside of it in parallel. So I'd love to hear, from people experienced with that kind of thing like you. And so that's rooted in.
Well, I find I was not a natural writer. I've written all my career, but it was mostly boring memos about stuff that no one really cared about. I found that when I could write from the heart, I was okay. I was enjoying it. And the more I wrote, I hope you find the same thing. I hope everybody listening finds the same thing. It's hard to start writing. But the more you write, the better you get at it.
Mm-hmm.
The better you get at it, the more you're able to play with your writing and have some expansiveness, and you can use words and you can use concepts and you can be engaging and realistic, and you can interpret the world. And then I also found that the more I wrote, when I take coaching clients, I'm helping them write their LinkedIn profile. By and large, they can't write well either because they've never really written in their career and they don't want to start right then. For some of them, it's like pulling every tooth out of their mouth. I'm going to say, need you to write your LinkedIn about section. You have 2,600 characters. Tell me why you do what you do. And they come back with 3 lines, and no, can't do that. We're not going to publish that. You got to, you have 30 years experience. You got to tell me more than just 3 lines. Oh, that's all I want to tell. Why? What's
Yeah.
holding you back? Again, that stuck, that bottleneck, that the mentally incapable. So giving themselves a permission, cajoling them, beating them up a little bit nicely, verbally. It's like, take another lap around the football field and keep running until you figure it out. And they keep writing and keep writing. And eventually, by the time we're done, they're writing. And for some of them, it's cathartic. They feel good. I'm working with a guy right now. He says, I hate you. I hate writing. I hate everything you make me do. And I said, write and shut up and do it. And
Yeah.
he did it. And I wrote it and he wrote it. And I sent it back to him with some tweaks. And I said, you're getting there, but you're not quite there. Take another lap. And I said, take my advice on this section. I wrote it, in the comments on the side. And he wrote it again. And it's almost ready for prime time. It's almost there. And it's just getting comfortable. So if I write, I've written 1,700 blog posts at this point. All right. I can sit down and write a blog post just about everything. Yeah, I got writer's block every so often. I don't know what the hell to say sometimes. But when they come in gushes, I sit down and write them in gushes. Or I'll take a subject like you're doing, and I'll cut it into chunks. Yeah. I just did a 6-part series, just ended today. And then tomorrow something new starts. So actually Monday. So I will build everything out. I will build it so that people want to know what's next tomorrow. I love when people guest blog. I love when I do a back to basics, because everybody really needs to get the basics reviewed once in a while. I try not to repeat myself. And then things happen. I lost a friend this week. He died of cancer. And it was really sad. And I love this guy. He was a wonderful person. And I saw his LinkedIn profile still up. And I sent to his family a gentle reminder that there is a protocol in LinkedIn to remove his profile, so that at his work anniversary, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, everybody doesn't get a notice that so-and-so has a work anniversary. And everybody says, hey, congratulations, you're doing really well, glad to hear it. And then they get the really hard news, he died in December. So, I've repeated some blog posts that need to be repeated, such as that, because my life and everybody's life keeps seeing the same themes often. It's just how you address them. So I'm not afraid to repeat stuff or to add on old blog posts what's changed on LinkedIn since I last wrote it. And LinkedIn's always changing, as we know, changes day to day. It's really quite difficult for us coaches, and it's really confusing for people using LinkedIn. So stuff moves around, it disappears, it comes back the next day. It's wild. But nonetheless, there's always something to write about. And the more you write, the better you get at expressing yourself, and the more you can help other people express themselves. So for me, it's a pleasure.